Calling for Pendant Ice Palace.
And off we go. It's a very nice start with a fire rod in Link's house.
Yeah, that's a great item to get out of the way.
It doesn't have a particularly large amount of early uses, but it's definitely something that you don't want to look for.
Yeah, it is a fire source, which can be useful if we have an early play on Desert or Hera.
Looks like the pull price is 20 rupees, so I doubt we'll see the racers pull that too much.
Yeah. Uncle's got 300 rupees for us, though. That's pretty decent.
Very generous, already 3/5 of the way to being able to make that Zora check.
And we got another 50 bucks right next to him. And that is an ice rod.
That is an ice rod.
Cave. It looked like a fire rod for a second, but we already got the fire rod. So, ice rod on Lumberjack Cave. We don't know if Turtle Rock's a pendant yet. So,
you know,
we don't know if that's
considering that both of the roads look the same on my screen, I actually want them to open the menu first. It's possible that it could be the ice rod, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the first item was fire rod, and there's our hammer in the Lost Woods hideout.
It already looks stacked, although slightly wrongly.
Yeah, Dataplat definitely has the fire rod.
Alright, so that is
the ice rod on the Lumberjack.
Which means we'll have to wait for a Darkfall map check to see just how interesting this will get.
Yeah, and Super and Taylor just found out the Tier 2 tree pull is 8 bombs, which is very nice at the start of the game.
Yep, you get that one time and you don't need to ever go shopping.
Alright, we're going to take a look at Blind's Hut now.
Well, map check revealed. Thank you for the trackers for catching that. 2 Lighthold pendants, so it is fairly likely that that ice rod will be.
Yeah, and we got a mirror and a bottle of red goo in Blind's Hut.
It's always nice when you find that early bottle just walking into CAC from the north, because that means you get to get Sick Kid out of the way immediately.
Yeah, so with 2... Oh, there's the flippers in the basement of Escape in Zelda's cell.
This is very interesting. We're definitely seeing a huge rush of early items, so I wonder when this will stop.
And there's Bombos. And I wonder, you know, we got a lot of items relating to Ice Palace. I wonder if that could be a play.
It's leading to Ice Palace, but Ice Palace is still mid-slogged. It's also leading to Swamp.
Yeah, that's true as well.
It's also leading to East Death Mountain in the Light World. There's our Moonpo.
Alright. So, yeah, we got 2/3 of our Dark World access. We just need to find a glove.
Very nice chicken clip from Boss Godfrey.
And Sick Kid's got a shovel for us.
So I think the thing that we can objectively determine here is that as soon as the racers get one glove, they're going to have so many options open to them.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing they're going to want to do is check if Turtle Rock is a pendant. Because if it's not, they're going to need to do Aga to get that ice rod.
I feel like the timing on that can wait, since you usually want to leave Turtle Rock for a very long time, and you still don't have the Cane of Samaria, so of course you can't really traverse it.
True. And you need the boots
and-
as well just to get it.
Exactly. It's so many items away, and even if you want to like you know you have to do Aga at one point, but if you can put it off, you'll get better equipment and you'll do it fast.
And Super and Taylor are going to check the shovel spot. And we got Master Sword.
So we could maybe not get a light world glove here, and instead we get a lamp.
Yeah, and then so Aga would be our Dark World access anyway.
Yeah, in that case, well, I mean, you probably don't mind doing Aga at this point, right? If you find that Ice Rod might actually be required, it's two things.
Well, we got Super and Taylor checking out the South Shore now.
Should be the very first racer that comes down here. On Restream, that is.
And Boss Godfrey going up to grab his Master Sword as well.
Ho ho ho! Well,
there's our lamp.
We have logical Aga access.
Yep.
And with the hammer in hand as well, we actually can go... Well, basically clear out most of the southern Dark World as well, and the only thing we're really missing for that is Hookshot, so we can finish Swamp.
Yeah, Hookshot also would give us access to the northwestern Dark World part with Thieves' Town, Skullwoods.
That is true. Now, with Eastern Palace being a pendant, I actually find this like an interesting fork in what the racers may do. There's a very good argument for dipping pendant Eastern right now before Aga. Or do you just go straight to Aga and gamble that TR is actually required too?
It's a tough call. I probably would. I mean, it's basically like a 6 out of 7 chance that it's going to be required. And even if it is a pendant, I mean, it could still be required. There could be an item on Trinax or something on the pedestal.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a non-zero chance of it. Like the worst case scenario, as far as we know right now, is still that you did Aga for nothing. You would have had Lighthold gloves, and you would have you don't need to do TR. But the flip side of it does look really good, doesn't it?
Oh, at any rate, you do still need to find the boots if you're gonna get that ice rod. So, it's probably, I don't know. I think I would dip Eastern.
It looks like... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry? I was just going to say, because you can route it in with checking Sahasrara as well.
Yes, there are 5 items that you can definitely get out of the Eastern Palace area right now, and then there's a 6th that you can maybe get in Eastern, depending on item layout.
In fact, I just realized since the remaining pendant in the Dark World is the green pendant, we can actually just talk to Sahasrara and find out which dungeon it is.
Ooh, that is a very good point. It's rare to see that talking to Sahasrara actually pays off in an on-key sanity mode, but I think this is one of the rare situations where it is worth time investment, because you're going to map check usually anyway, right?
Yeah. Alright, we got, looks like Boss Godfrey's gonna go for the fake flipper. He does have the Moon Pearl, and he does have Zora money, so he can get several items out of this and check one.
But what he does not know is that flippers are actually just sitting in Zelda's cell, so he didn't need to do this.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Super Nintendo opted to immediately clear out Hyrule Castle. It's very possible that he's just going to go up to Agus Tower right away.
Yeah, one thing I'm not sure about is I can't remember which runners have actually checked Lumberjack Cave and have that knowledge.
I know that Super Nintendo did. He opened Sanctuary and went immediately towards Lumberjack. I think there was at least one more racer who did it, but I couldn't name him. Chat saying Goomba checked it as well.
Alright. So Hobo just with a little bit of cash. Let's see what we got in the waterfall cave. Just a heart. We're just gonna get a random bottle item from the ferry, and it's a blue potion. That's nice.
That is a handy refill. Looks like Super Nintendo instead is going to the sewers first. Makes sense. If that one chest is a key, he can proceed to the back of escape. If it's not, he got that one item location out.
Yeah, one thing he could have done actually, if he wanted to guarantee he can get all these chests, he can actually steal the key from the guard, go up to the back of escape, and then you're guaranteed to find the key. So you can go and do the front of escape.
But it looks like he didn't need to do that. He...
And
no.
I don't think he did that on purpose.
He was expecting it to be an item.
Yeah.
Zora
so that's why I often just put my mirror away when I'm not using it. Just for that exact reason, I might accidentally just hit the button there.
Yeah, I'm paranoid of having the mirror out as well. In the meantime, Zora gave us a measly 1% return on investment.
Ouch, it's even worse than usual.
But to your point about stealing the key from Hyrule Castle, it's definitely one of those things that don't usually occur. Mostly because, like, you want to be checking back of escape with the glove that you usually pick up early because you don't really need to do Aga.
Sorry to cut you off, but Goomba just talked to Sahashala, and Turtle Rock is our green pendant.
Wow. So, Aga is not required for the Ice Rod, but is it required for Dark World access?
No, because Goomba also found a glove. Boss Godfrey found that as well.
Ooh.
Wow, so that's, then that ice mod might not be required, but if the pedestal ends up being required, or if there's an item on Trinex or on the green pendant, that could be... Yeah, that could be tough for these runners.
Sahashala is single-handedly shutting down any hopes of Aghanim. That's impressive.
Well, yeah, it definitely makes it very unlikely, but it is still possible.
Can already feel chat holding its breath for pedestal at this point.
Alright, we got a blue cane and mushroom out of the hype cave. So not too exciting, but that mushroom could lead to something good.
sorry, I'm mildly distracted, but at this point I'm looking at this and the only hope for Aghanim at this point, by extension Pedestal, is Flute, I think. Maybe the Maya Medallion.
That's a good point. We do have a lot of items missing. I suppose it's possible the hook shot or bow could be on Sahasrahla.
Bow could be on Sahasrahla, yes. That is also a very interesting situation. So in the meantime... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying, or even just on Trinax.
That's also a possibility. In the meantime, we have our first runners who are going through Dark Road locations. Goomba opting to mirror to Hobo. Very nice time save if you have flippers and mirror. And Boss Godfrey checking out the pyramid.
Yeah, just some spare cash up there. It looks like Dataplat was thinking about making an Eastern dip, but changed his mind.
I feel like if you pick up that glove, suddenly everything bursts open, because at this point, the Darkhold mainland is accessible as a whole. You can go into Thieves' Town and clear it. You can clear Skullwoods at this point. There's options that are a little bit more appealing than a Pendant Dungeon that you can come back for when you're doing Palace of Darkness anyway.
And Boss Godfrey gonna route in the Mushroom Check along with, I assume, going to Catfish. And that mushroom does not turn into anything.
It makes sense to get this out of the way in this this mode. Accessing Catfish is very slow. There's no two ways around it. And if you leave something there, well, it's going to be very painful to eventually find it.
Yeah, anytime you can route in another Chack in with Catfish, it's great. So, let's see what we do have from Catfish. Superman Taylor is making the Eastern dip. So that's interesting.
If he finds anything in there, this is going to seriously change what he will do compared to the other races. So it's definitely an interesting thing to see.
Yeah. Alright, Boss Godfrey going to, I guess, check out Village of Outcasts, maybe? Or, well, he's got the Fire Rod and a sword, so he can do Skull Woods right away.
Yep. If he feels comfortable with a 8-heart Green Mail Master Sword Modular, which honestly isn't that bad, he'll probably go north first, just get Skull Woods out of the way, back to front.
Yeah. Goomba gonna check out the back of the Escape.
You already know that that was basically nothing that actually matters. Dataplat is going to get Stumpy and mirror locations. Well, mirror locations, I say, but just K45 out of the way as well as digging.
Yeah. Oh, I missed what that hint said in Eastern.
It was a joke hint.
Okay. So we got not much in Eastern so far. Just some money and some arrows. So you can potentially get one more item here. It's basically a 50-50 chance that he'll get an item.
In looks like Godfrey is opting to head into Morphula first in Skull Woods. Of course, you'll get the center chest regardless of what rounding you're doing. But he is refilling his magic, so he is using the route that was, well, I want to say fairly recently popularized, but, you know, in the previous tournament where you go to the Morph first just in case there are big keys in the back.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that was an intentional death warp just to get a health refill.
Yep, he took a few hits getting that chest, so it's a very conscious way to restore your health before a tough fight.
Yeah, Super Nintendo unfortunately finding nothing in Eastern Palace.
Godfrey just despawned a bomb.
Despawned a bomb?
Yeah, he placed a bomb on the thing that you burn when you enter Skull Woods, and then he burned it and the bomb disappeared.
That's interesting. Okay, looks like we got Super and Taylor probably also going to head into Skull Woods along with Goomba and Boss Godfrey. And I'm guessing Dataplet is making the same play as well.
It honestly makes a lot of sense with this item set, and this is why it's sort of unfortunate that the racers opted to go Aga first. It would have been an interesting dynamic to see how it changes. But of course, I'm saying this, and it would have been a bad play, so everyone made the optimal play.
Yeah. Our 5-6 crystals, by the way, Skull Woods and Ice Palace. Goomba has not been to the shovel spot, I believe. He took the south route to Kakariko. So routing in that shovel spot is a bit of a pain. He'll be able to get it later, but he'll probably wish he had it for this Mothula fight.
Yep, it's very likely that he's going to be using the hammer, which is not exactly a good weapon against Mothula, considering how both the hammer and Mothula have an awful hitbox.
Yeah, Mothula not playing nice for Boss Godfrey.
No, if he sticks to the top of the room, it's very hard to peel him off there, and it's very hard to actually land hits that do damage.
Super Nin Taylor finding the bug net in the front of Skull Woods. And Boss Godfrey gets Mothula down. And just a compass, so no items in the back of Skull Woods. Dataplet finds a blue mail in the brewery.
It's very handy to get right before the blind fight, even with 8 hearts. It's not that great to do that fight with green mail. Everything in that fight hits for either 1 or 2 full points. So there's not a lot of hits that you can tank if you accidentally veer off script.
Yeah. But Dataplet is opting to go into Thieves Town first.
You know, interestingly, if Ice Palace is cooperating with the key layout currently, and does not require Samaria logically to access Cold Stare, Pyramid Ferry is definitely in logic.
Yeah, we just need to find that second glove upgrade to get in there, but other than that...
Although, I'm actually sort of mistaken here. You need either Hookshot or Samaria, but, yeah. Goomba picking up his first red crystal as well. Dataplet should be the first person that is going into Thieves Town, and there's the red mail as well. Nice.
Yeah, lots of defense. The One thing that can be annoying with the red mail is how long it takes to death warp, but when you got the mirror, that's no big deal.
I believe we're about to see Bumper Cave for the first time.
Yeah, we'll need the cape to get this item, but it's just a piece of art. Boss Coffee is going to check Lumberjack Cave, so he'll know where that ice rod is. The runner's hoping they won't need it, but if you want to see a nice trolley seed, you'll hope it is required.
It doesn't lock a particularly large amount of item locations in terms of like what the game actually has to offer, but if it does lock something, it's a very painful chain in this particular seed to get it.
Yeah.
I missed the hint, but chat is saying bow purple chests.
Oh. Well, that's a pretty good hint to get. Of course, we need to find the Titan Smiths to get that purple chest.
But that is, of course, always required to complete an open mode seed, so... I'm fairly sure nobody's really unhappy about having that information. And by nobody, I mean Data, because he's the only one that should have it right now. And with that said, if any of the racers opt to save a little bit of time, because you do have to take 2 screen transitions to check that hint. If any of the racers opt to skip it, they're going to have a lot of trouble with that.
Alright, Dataplat heading into the basement of Thieves Town. Rescue the maiden.
I missed the exact location of the items, but considering he still has a small key and therefore skipped the big chest, I assume that he knows it's a dungeon item, and therefore blind should be as well. Going slightly off script here, but Redmail's doing work. At this point, he shouldn't take any unfortunate deaths. And Dan goes blind.
Yep. So, it seems probable. I think Dataplat will probably head to Skull Woods, and meanwhile we'll see the other 3 runners go through Thieves Town.
Dataplat's routing here makes an awful lot of sense, considering he checked the South Shore first, made sure to check Stumpy, Digging Game, K45. By starting in Thieves Town, he can transition to Skull Woods, and then over to the Death Mountain entrance, or even Graveyard Ledge. So it's a very smart route to take, I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that Graveyard Ledge, that's a spot that can be orphaned very easily if you don't route it in with something, so this is a good way to route that in.
Looks like Goomba collected the hint. I missed if Boss Godfrey did take it as well.
He might get it after. I sometimes, do that. Forget to flip the switch, and then I go up, and I'm like, oh, I wanted that hint. So you have to go kind of back down and back up to get it.
Yep, let's hope that he doesn't skip it, because that will sting. Okay, he looks like he is going back for it. Good.
Yeah, he'll be glad he did.
It is one of the rare, very specific hints that both tells you the item and the location.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great hint.
Right, Super Nintendo heading upstairs also with the switches not flipped, which means he is getting the hint as well. So all of our runners on the restream know that the bow is indeed available as soon as they get the hit. It is interesting to see how, with like minor variations, runners are essentially converging on the same game state after 30 minutes, and pretty much on each other's toes as well.
Yeah, so after we're finished with Skullwoods and Thieves Town, don't know if there's really any great options. We can go on to Death Mountain, and there's a fair amount of items there, but hair is a pendant. And we also don't have the mitts, which would be nice for Skullwoods, or for Death Mountain.
On the other hand, you do have, with the Mirror and Hammer, access to East Death Mountain, and Paradox Cave in itself is 7 items, which is, well, exactly what you need right now.
Yeah.
The only alternative that I can see is that you could maybe gamble Ice Palace, right? You will have a little bit harder time clearing it because you don't have the hookshot. You probably need to take a bomb jump if the key layout is bad.
Yeah, we still need those mitts first, though.
Oh, yeah, right. Absolutely. We do.
It's, no major glitches.
from where I come from, mitts are merely a suggestion.
Yeah. But on that same train of thought, we could also dip Swamp. It's not a fun dip, but we don't have too many great options. There's also, of course, Pod. We could dip in there. We know we won't find the bow. But I mean, we are really looking for those mitts right now. It's kind of the most important item.
That's absolutely right. And in terms of dipping Swamp, it's definitely a play that you can make, but first you'd very likely want to just poke your nose into Hera, get those 2 hints, because if there's anything about the left side of Swamp in there, it can potentially save a lot of time.
Yeah, I would say just based on the item density and that those 2 hints there and the 3rd hint in Spectacle Rock Cave, I would say Death Mountain's probably the best play right now. But we'll see where these runners decide to go after they're done clearing out the overworld here.
Interesting little tidbit, the racing game today actually gave us the item on the very first dig.
That's always nice.
That is always nice.
Alright, we got all our runners on red mail now.
Yep, and I think with this, they're on pretty much the same item locations checked, with the maybe exception of some of the races didn't do Zora. I'm not exactly... I know 2 of them did, or maybe 3 of them did Zora. I think there's 1 person, and I think it's Super Nintendo that skipped.
Yeah, Super Nintendo did Eastern, and may have skipped Zora.
Oh. So there is, like, there was nothing in either of those locations. I don't know if the races will actually go into those. It depends on how much... well, I don't even know what item could be that well hidden right now. Maybe Cane of Samaria?
Yeah, well, that flute can always turn up anywhere.
Oh, yeah, flute is definitely a basically anywhere item right now, isn't it?
Of course, we don't know what the Meyer medallion is yet, but that's another item that can be often pretty trolly. Dataplet giving us a look at Graveyard Ledge Cave.
Goomba is ascending Death Mountain. Just
some
money.
Yeah.
It is very likely that all of our racers will be making this play very shortly because, honestly, with this item set, the seed collapses into being very linear because while you do have pieces of puzzles everywhere, you don't have anything that stands out as, hey, you can complete this, go here.
Yeah. Yeah, but the only dungeon we could really complete right now, I think, is Tower of Hera. But I imagine they'll go in there, as you said, for the hints. But
and while you're up there getting the second hint, if you haven't found the second item yet, you probably will go for Moldom as well.
Yeah.
Another joke hint in Spectacle Rock Cave, and Goomba is going for the Spectacle Rock Bomb Jump. This is fairly difficult setup. It is. It only works on very specific pixels, but it gets it first try. Very nice.
Yeah. Dataplet also finding out that Ice Rod is in Lumberjack Cave. And I believe Super and Taylor going up to make that same check. Oh no, he's going to Death Mount.
Yeah, Super
he might have already checked
with that. Chat pointing out Spike Cave is in Logic.
Yep.
Which is absolutely true. We have an invulnerability item as well as the hammer, the gloves, the pearl, Death Mountain access. So yeah, there could be something in there. It is very much a slow check that is very close to spawn point though, so I don't expect anyone will make that play right now.
Well, there's our first item, just a piece of heart.
And of course we found the big key, so that means no basement checks just yet. I did miss what the hint was though.
It was about the Moon Pearl, which we've already gotten, so not really useful there.
No, not really, but at least the hint itself was French vanilla.
Heart container is underwater, also not the most useful hint.
I do believe Dam was a heart container. And we got the map and the compass, so Moldom is 50-50 for an item or the small key.
Yeah. Now if we get the small key, do you go in and check the basement for that one item, or do you skip it?
It's tough to say. It is very close to a spawn point as well, although climbing Death Mountain without boots is painful. Nevertheless, you will still pass in front of Hera at least one more time. Expectedly for the Dark World East Death Mountain checks.
And it is a small key, so we'll see if Goomba, what he decides to do with that.
That is just the perfect image of Tower of Hera, just getting a small key and a blue pendant off of Moldom.
And he's not going to go for it. And Super Nintendo skipping Hera entirely for now.
He probably knows something that we don't, because honestly, that Tower of Hera was dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes absolute sense. If you don't really care about the hints, the two items, they're not really that critical to do right now. Not as good as the, well, 8 that you can get and 9 that you can see right now on the eastern side. Plus, as chat points out, Super Nintendo already got burned by Eastern Palace.
Alright, let's see what we got in Paradox Cave.
Also known as the not hype cave, that's usually actually hype. I take that back. If there's nothing in these chests, the game suddenly
Okay, well,
the
that's
game does
kind of
not get
important.
interesting. Hey,
well,
look!
it's still
the
interesting.
expected results!
Yeah. It's still pretty nice, and that opens up a lot of stuff now. We can do the rest of... We can do Dark Death Mountain. We can at least check the Turtle Rock medallion.
We have logical access to 4 chests in Ice Palace.
Yep. And Dataplet is going to go for that basement item. So we'll see if the other runners have missed anything important.
Yeah, if this is Kate of Samaria or Flute, Dataplet suddenly soars miles ahead.
Yeah, because for the runners that skip that item, there's very little reason to come back to Hera anytime soon.
The only reason you would have to do that is probably the same reason you would have for Spike Cave, is that you're kind of like looking at for something in like scrap locations, because you clearly missed something, right?
But it is just $50, so nothing important. And it looks like Nantaylor is heading over to do Spike Cave. Or he may also do Hera first. No, he's gonna skip Hera.
Well, in that case, the only thing that he can possibly do here is Spike Cave. It's kind of alien to me that you would dip this, but not Tower of Hera for the quick 2 chests in the lobby. And the hint, at least.
Yeah. And just a piece of heart.
On the other hand... Oh, yeah,
Goomba's going straight for that bow.
That's a very good thing, because once you get that, you have everything else needed to clear Palace Darkness.
Yeah. So in terms of items we still don't know, we don't know where the hookshot is. We don't know where the flute is. We don't know the King of Samaria. So those are all required. We only have 1 medallion, which is Bombo's. So if Meyer turns out to be Ether or Quake, we'll need that. And also, no one's been able to get into Desert yet, so we don't know if the boots are required. So still a number of items we're still looking for.
Yep, and of course, could be some extremes that could crop up. If Desert Palace, for instance, would hold the flute itself, then we would need the book as well.
Gonna check hammer pegs while he's at it.
It makes sense to get these fairly slow checks out of the way at once. You don't really want to come back to Village of Outcasts when there's nothing to do, or when there's like 1 item location left.
Yeah.
He left a chest outside. Oh, I thought that would despawn, but I suppose it's single entrance, so it wouldn't. I'm not actually sure
I forget the exact rules for how that works.
think if you can take it in, then it doesn't actually despawn.
Alright, and here's the bow for Goomba, so I would... Oh, he's gonna go over and probably check Agina and maybe the desert ledge real quick. And then I would guess he'll probably be heading for Pod right after this.
Yeah, but it makes sense to get these checks out of the way right now. You don't really want to come back here. If it's the flute, that would be the absolute worst. Because you're holding out for Regina for when you can actually check it together with Maya and Desert Palace.
Yeah, just Rupee, so he's not going to go over and check Desert Ledge. So yeah, pretty linear seeds so far. The runners have done most of the same things in slightly different orders sometimes, but we're all kind of at the same point. They're all either just got or are heading for the bow.
Yeah, the way I see it, seed gave you exactly one chance to make a mistake, a huge mistake. But otherwise, it's as you say, definitely linear.
Alright. We're heading into Pod. We'll have to pay Kiki the monkey his $110.
Money, of course, should be no object. This, I believe, is the last thing we need to spend money for.
Yep. Unless they want to buy some potions or anything like that. Although with red mail and several bottles, they might not need
I was about to say that the way this seed's been going, it's going to literally shove Buttersword and another blue goo in your face in the same room where you get the GT Vicky.
Yeah.
There's Ether, which should further alleviate our worries about the Maya Medallion.
Alright, and that also means Pod completely bow-locked. So, yeah, that Thieves Town hint, very useful for all of our runners.
I mean, yes, true, but at the same time, did it really give you any other options? I mean, I guess it opened up a probably not logically completable Ice Palace, where it gave you myths, but that's about it. So while that bow hint was very specific and could have been potentially valuable, you were kind of forced into the play of getting it.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I often find I don't really think about the logic of Ice Palace too much. If I got a Fire Rod and Mitts and Hammer, I can beat it. So that's kind of how I look at it, but...
The reason you would do that is because you really like go moding Ice Palace. It's so much nicer than not go moding it, and for go mode you don't need to worry about logical quirks if you know the bomb chip.
Yeah. Turtle Rock, by the way, our tracker marked it down as requiring the Quake medallion.
That is correct.
The only one we haven't seen so far. So that could be good for our runners.
I am willing to bet 2 kidneys that Quake is just sitting in Ganon's Tower at this point.
course, at this point, well, no, never mind. I was going to say that it could still be required to get the hook shot, but no, that's needed for Swamp.
The only big difference that I see, and that could maybe come back to haunt Boss Godfrey at one point, is that he does not appear to have the Flipper's mark, so I assume he never, and yes, he does not have it on his menu, he never did escape. He will require that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did the fake flippers, so collected a lot of those items, but...
and
yeah, that could hurt him.
At this point, you could be picking up Hookshot in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, let's see. There's a hint about Meyer. I think it was a piece of heart and something else.
Chat's saying it's only garbage, so I assume the other thing was a small key or a dungeon item. That's a very nice thing to get, by the way. It's just never having to do the cutscene chest. And there's the hookshot in the dark basement of Pod, along with half magic.
Half magic's always nice, but the hookshot is definitely required.
We now have a completable Swamp Palace.
And a potentially completable Ice Palace. Well, definitely completable, just not necessarily in logic.
So then we're just looking for Flute and Samaria for things we know, and then potentially, depending on various quirks of the item placement, boots and book. Yeah,
and potentially Quake as well. Did you mention that?
Oh yeah, no I didn't. Good point. Yeah, Quake is definitely still in the cards. And on the dreaded pedestal out of these, we could only see Flute, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Boots as well could be on the pedestal.
Oh yeah. So where do you go from here? Do you immediately go for Swamp Palace, or do you instead hit Ice Palace first?
Personally, I would go for Swamp just based on the item density. Although, there is a good argument for Ice Palace. There's 3 hints in there. You might get a hint for the left side of Swamp. So, you know, I can see either play being good.
I definitely echo those feelings on this, and I have very little doubt that we will see 4 simultaneous Swamp Palace plays right here. Chat saying boots cannot be on pedestal because we need them price rod, which is
yes, that's a good point. So yeah, pretty much just the flute, I guess, could be on ped.
Or the book if it leads to flutes.
Yeah.
Book is definitely the interesting case, because in that case you can't even check what's on pedestal.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be rough? You'd have to defeat Aga just to get the ice rod, just to go into Turtle Rock, and by that point you've probably already dipped Turtle Rock first. That would be extremely rude.
Would you? I can see maybe once it starts clearing up, you're... of course, if you have boots available, you might just go for Aghanim because you don't want to double dip Turtle Rock on the off chance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think I would rather take the risk of double dipping Turtle Rock.
Statistically, it should be the correct play to double dip, of course.
Yeah. But
although, it's worth noting that Trinex himself is currently locking 3 item locations.
Yeah, potentially. At least 2 and possibly 3.
Which would be on par with what the rest of Turtle Rock has to offer. Well, 1 less. I don't know, I'm trying to make a strong argument for it here, but it's just not working.
Yeah, it would be quite a gamble, I think, to go for Aga before dipping Turtle Rock. But anyway, we got Goomba going straight to Swamp, as we predicted.
Makes sense, you can full clear it. Super Nintaler right there behind him.
The runner's still really quite close. Just maybe a couple of minutes separating, the first runner into Swamp and probably... Oh, Boss Godfrey actually going to go into Eastern first.
He does not have the flippers. This is exactly what I was worried about. He is going to make this extra check before he commits to the most valuable play available to him, which is Hyrule Castle. Unless he decides to go to the clearable Pit Crystal Dungeon, which is Ice Palace.
Did we see all 3 items in Eastern?
I know we saw at least 2, but if someone in chat could tell me what was in the Vanilla Vicky chest?
Well, I remember there were 2 garbage items. I don't remember seeing a 3rd. Okay, chat's saying, yeah.
Interesting. So this could pay off.
Yeah,
huge.
if there is a flute or something like that on Armos, I mean, that would just be enormous for Boss Godfrey.
And at that point, I'd start being worried about Super Nintaler, who has done the entirety of Palace of Darkness. Most chests in Eastern Palace, he has no reason to go back there.
Yeah. So, we'll see. See what happens there. But in the meantime, let's also keep our eyes on the players in Swamp Palace.
We got a big 20 in the lower side of Swamp. Goomba's going straight to the back, skipping the left side. Definitely an okay play.
It makes sense if you haven't seen the map or compass yet, because if those are both on the left side, you don't have to go to the left side at all.
Yep, and compared to going left side first, it's only if of course you have to clear the left side. It's only a minor time loss due to the way that you have to acquire the key from the floodable room. Yeah, it's definitely something that makes sense.
Well, we do have that compass, so we know there's at least 1 item on the left side.
Worst case scenario would be if it also has the big key, because then you have to return to the center 3 times in total. And there's the map as well. It's not looking good.
So I would imagine these runners probably will go back in to the left side for 2 items. If it was 1 item, that's kind of a more difficult decision, I think. But leaving behind 2 items would be a bit of a gamble, especially when we don't really have a ton of stuff open at the moment.
I could see maybe the Ice Palace play. Of course, okay, if you don't immediately go back to the left side, then you have to do the damn shenanigans all over again. So if you plan to go for the left side, you immediately want to do it. But I could see Ice Palace as an alternative, right? At this point, it's 3 items as opposed to 2.
And just bombs on Argus, so and here's the Armos fight from Boss Godfrey, so let's see what he gets out of this.
In the meantime, they also didn't get the big cave swamp in the back, so if they go left, they have to come back for the second item in the big chest.
Just money from the Armos Knights, so Eastern Palace, unfortunately, a pretty big time sink for Boss Godfrey. Unless, of course, pedestal ends up being required.
So, what if we get Quake and Cane of Samaria from the remaining 2 chests?
Well, we could, I'd probably still go Ice first, but I'd be thinking about Turtle Rock after that.
I'm trying to think about alternative locations that the runners haven't checked. I mean, of course, there's, as we have mentioned a few times so far, there's Ice Palace, but is there really anything? There's Hookshot Cave.
Hookshot Cave, yeah. That's where Boss Godfrey is heading right now. And I believe he skipped Hera Basement, so he might even be going in there first.
Does he realize he skipped Hyrule Castle?
I don't know. I hope he does.
Okay, realistically, he probably went into the back of Escape, saw 3 items. We know the key is in the sewers. But of course, he knows that only 2 chests can hold that. And it still has to be in there, as well as the map. So maybe he does think, and very likely so, that there's not much value left in there.
Oh. The longer it takes him to get back there. Oh, there's the flute.
That's both happy and sad. It'll lead him to Misery Mire, something that the other runners could potentially go mode, although he does know that the left side is junk. And there's, by the way, Tempered Sword. Very nice find. Interesting. He could maybe, off the back of this, go mode both Swamp and Ice, though.
Potentially. We still don't know where that Cane of Samaria is. And I believe that's the only item we still need other than potentially Quake, but yeah, I think this kills both Pedestal and Aghanim. I don't think they can be possibly required now.
Yeah, this definitely does. But it's... okay, it's a very interesting thing, right? Of course, Misery Mire completion hard lock behind Samaria. Ice Palace completion soft lock behind Samaria. I think he's going to go to Ice Palace, and he's very likely going to pick up the Cane of Samaria from there.
Yeah, hopefully he remembers the logic, though, with Ice Palace being flipper locked. He's not going to find the flippers with anything he finds in there.
Oh no, he's going to go to my oh, yeah, of course, Desert Palace. What am I even saying?
Yeah, well, we can check the shed, we can check the Mire Medallion, which we should be finding out shortly. And Goomba heading into Ice Palace. And Quake is in Ganon's Tower. Okay, well, Turtle Rock definitely not required.
Turtle Rock is also dead. Oh well.
Well, that means King of Samaria, likely in ice or possibly in mire or desert. We do also have the Pyramid Fairy, which will be open to Goomba after he completes ice.
This is definitely very interesting, although keep in mind the key logic of Ice Palace. If Coldstare himself has a small key, then Pyramid Fairy is essentially useless.
So just a piece of heart at the checkerboard cave.
But it's definitely interesting, right? If Desert or if Boss Godfrey decides to make that desperation play, Misery Maya would happen to have the Cane of Samaria. He's in a huge position because he can go mode both ice and swamp at that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great for him, but he does need to find those flippers first.
Desert Palace is not boots locked, so... and we get that very, very useful fire rod. Hint, you numpty.
I love this game's sense of humor.
We are still unsure whether or not boots are actually required. Of course, Ganon's Tower's big key could be on the dreaded torch. But otherwise, it's looking fairly likely that we won't need to find that. And of course, we know that we don't need the ice rod either, so we don't need it for that either. We get a second purple chest hint in Ice Palace. This time it just says unique item.
Yeah, good old version 30. Weird hints sometimes.
First item from Desert Palace is $20.
The boots is in Turtle Rock. Oh, we're not going to be getting those.
Yep, that's not getting collected. There's no way that you want to leave Ganon's Tower to get a very slow boots. I believe we did not see a second Desert Palace item. I looked away for a split second and he already collected it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the second item is going to be on Land Mount here. So, all we're looking for now is that Cane of Samaria.
That and maybe the boots, which, okay. You know...
Yeah. That would be pretty awful.
What if? What if?
What if...
What if the big key is on the torch?
Well, then you have to find Quake. And what if Quake is... Oh, no, it can't be. I was going to say what if Quake is upstairs, GT, but no.
But what if it's Tauru?
Could be Tauru.
What if boots are on... Oh, no, it can't be on Trinex, can it? Damn it. It could be on Laser Bridge. So the worst possible scenario is that. Well, I see nobody holding the Cane of Samaria yet. I don't know if Boss Godfrey walked up to the desert ledge yet, though.
Oh no, is he stuck?
I think he might go back to the Terra.
Why not just admire?
Why not clear the escape sequence?
That too.
I think he's a little bit lost in this, to be honest. He has a huge advantage still, so he could just wind up being ahead of everyone just off the back of go moding 2 awful dungeons, but for that he needs to get the flippers very fast, and he needs to come up with something original for the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, we know he's not going to find it up here. And I think we've seen all 3 items in Ice Palace. I could be wrong, but it's looking like it's not in Ice Palace either. So at this point,
I don't know if we've seen both keys though, and that is the really interesting part because of Pyramid Ferry.
Right.
Oh.
Well, that's the Cane of Samaria.
That is exactly where you expected it to be honest.
Alright, so that's no mode for us. So Boss Godfrey has to find the flippers, and then has to go to Ice Palace and get that Cane of Samaria. So Ice Palace is not really possible to go more. The rest of our runners just need to find that flute.
Yeah, this is getting very interesting very quickly. Now, interestingly, the cane does not, to the other runners, mean that Pyramid Ferry is dead. They are going to be checking it immediately. It's 2 items that you want to get out of the way as soon as possible, because to them it could still be flute.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to have a whole lot left after this besides Hookshot Cave.
Book could still mislead them, at least slightly.
It could.
But it's not that big of a deal either, because then you just play at Desert Palace and resume your normal operations. Okay, yeah, you're right. The fact that Turtle Rock is absolutely objectively locked behind Ganon's tower, at this point there's no real options left for the runners to get really trolled.
Yeah, so Boss Godfrey, unfortunately, going to be doing this useless Tower Room in Hera. Hey, let's see what we got in Pyramid Ferry. 10 arrows and some bombs.
I think, okay, Goomba and Dataplet should still have Eastern Palace remaining, so they might make that play while they're in the area over here. Yeah. Although Goomba, okay, obviously headed for Graveyard Ledge, I want to say.
Looks like it.
I mean, there's nothing else that he can do here, so he is going to witness $50, and then he is going to nope out of it.
My guess is he'll go for Hookshot Cave next. It's 4 items compared to 3 in Eastern. And I think it's probably quicker to get there than to do Eastern, but we'll see.
It makes perfect sense.
Boss Godfrey heading for escape now, so that's good for him.
We can only hope that he decides that ice is better. Okay, objectively speaking, Swamp is looking like the play that he should be making, right? 6 items versus 3, but people are prejudiced against Swamp really heavily, so I am kind of hoping that that is the case with him.
Yeah, if he goes Ice first, he'll be in a great position. If he goes Swamp first, it's going to cost him a few minutes.
That's a few minutes he cannot afford. To be fair, okay, the seed was linear enough that he couldn't have been led to Estray. Like, he did Eastern Palace, so did Super Nintendo, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. This could still be anyone's race at this point.
Yeah, although Goomba is about to get his flute.
Yep, and with that, he should be the first racer to enter Schrodinger's Go mode.
That's right, we still don't know. There's still that 1 out of 22 chance that the boots are required.
And oh boy, it's going to lead to a lot of stuff that you have to do if it does require the boots.
And Boss Godfrey finally getting his flippers. Let's see if he gives us any rage slashes. No, he's all business. Alright, boss, go to ice.
If he pulls out the flute here, no. Aww. He is making the statistically correct play. I don't like this.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe he would think since he got the flippers so late, he might want to gamble, but that being said, I mean, I can't fault him for this play.
It's always so sad to see someone make the right play and then get punished.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does not check the left side, then he still might be okay. Because, to be honest, getting the first chest before the hammer pegs, getting the chest down south, getting the 3 in the back, not that big of a deal. It's only in the left side of Swamp that is truly horrible.
Yeah. So, Goomba just has to finish off Mire and Desert real quick. This should not take long.
Especially knowing that the biggest time sink in Misery Mire is actually worthless. He is hoping for a very nice big key on bridge chest. Would be fitting for the seed. Takes very nice care of that first kill room in Misery Mire. Having sword beams for that room is honestly a godsend. Well, it's only the compass, so he's going to have to continue looking. Of course, there's still Spike Chest, which isn't that bad if it has the big key, otherwise you're going to be searching for a while.
So there's the flute for Superman Taylor, and he's in go mode, and Data Plet will be in just a few seconds.
Meanwhile, Goomba does find the big key in the Spike Chest, so yeah. Blazing fast Misery Mire. Did Superman Taylor leave Hookshot Cave before checking all the chests?
I believe he did.
Well, he's going to be doing Master Sword Ganon then.
Yeah, most likely, unless he finds that 4th sword in GT. Or Silvers, which we have not seen yet.
It's interesting how absolutely linear this ended up being. Okay, Boss Godfrey did go a little bit out of the way because he didn't get the flippers from Escape, but otherwise the runners are pretty much making the same exact decisions throughout the entire seed. Also,
Yeah.
worth noting, Boss Godfrey is checking... What? Oh no, he's just flooding it. Okay, cool. He is planning to check it? No, he's checking it. Okay. I don't like this. Boss Godfrey is checking left side swamp. He wants to be thorough about this, and I absolutely don't blame him, but unfortunately his little mishap with the flippers means that he is getting further and further behind here.
Yeah. So unfortunately he's still gonna have to full clear Ice Palace. Unless he decides to just gamble, go straight to Cold Stare and hope that it's a Pyramid Fairy. But I doubt he'll do that.
Yeah, with the absolute thoroughness that he's doing right now, I don't think he will be skipping anything. And, like, honestly, I don't blame him. This is the fastest way that you can get all 6 items out of Swamp Palace. Just go left side first, because the key from the main room is going to help you a lot in making it faster. And if you get that big key, well, you don't have to go back to the center room a third time. But, like...
But
yeah.
When you're only looking for one item, I would still go to the back first, because if that item is in the back, then you don't have to touch the left side at all.
That is absolutely a good point.
Boss Godfrey on 1.5 hearts here. Don't know if he has a potion or a fairy or anything, but he's gonna have to be a little bit careful.
I assume he does know that in the room that's coming up, he'll be able to find... Well, is it? It's not this room, is it? Okay, I am confused.
I think it's
the room with the 2 chests.
Yeah, there is 1 heart in this room, but he's gonna skip that.
Yeah, there's 2 down south and there's 2 north of the waterfall. I used to know all the hearts because I needed them.
Another little tip a lot of people don't necessarily know about: if you hookshot a heart, there's I think it's a 1 in 4 chance that it will actually give you 2 hearts. I don't know if that's a bug or what, but it's good to know. So if you got your hookshot out and you see a heart, just hookshot the heart instead of collecting it, and you might get an extra heart.
I bet it has something to do with the fact that the hookshot moves 4 pixels each frame. Same way as if you were dashing.
Vitreous down for Superman, Taylor.
I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if it worked the same way as key dashing did, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, Goomba downed Lammo, which means he has 7 crystals, which means we are going to play an unofficial little game that won't be rewarded at all, which is the Ganon Sour Big Key guessing game. So get your guesses in between 1 and 22. For which location do you think the Ganon Sour Big Key will be in?
I'm going to say number 3. I really want to see that torch Big Key.
And I'm going to say number 1 because someone's definitely going to go left side first and see the torch. In fact, to be honest, that would be the first thing that I do, just so that I know that I need boots or not.
Alright, Boss Godfrey, done with Swamp. He's now making the unfortunate trek over to Ice Palace. He'll have to full clear this. Again, unless he decides to gamble on a weird route, but it's very unlikely he'll do that. But Goomba's our first runner into GT, almost exactly at the 125 mark.
Interesting, because despite its linearity, the seed wasn't actually fast. You were sort of forced to last location a few things. So that it's kind of interesting to me how a seed this linear can still be a 125 GT. And with that torch, which is, by the way, not the GT Vicky, we are actually in go mode. Boots are not required. It's official. This was a very good seed for the runners.
It's 2 and 3, map and money. Hey, silver arrows. So I imagine all of our runners will be getting that.
It looks like Goomba's doing Dark Magician, which is to go to Stalfo's room to guarantee that you get a small key and then clear from the right side. Either last locationing, well, quasi last locationing Isomos or random room, depending on what you do after you check the right side.
Yeah.
Of course, the last location will always be Tal room, but
unless you're really in the mood for gambling.
Or you're playing a mode with early Gannis Tower access.
Alright, so coming up in the next room is, I believe, chests 8 through 11.
That sounds right.
8, just some money. 9 is the compass. 10, more money. 11, a single green rupee. We're going back to the left side, or maybe to Isomos.
He is just getting the key to make sure that he doesn't have to do anything upstairs. Makes perfect sense. With that right side, though, it's fair to assume that all of the racers will be picking up silver arrows. You would have no reason to skip that particular chest.
Yep. Unless someone goes full right for some reason.
That's true. It's a possibility that you could do. Absolutely.
Super Nintendo actually ducked into Hookshot Cave.
Yeah.
Got those last few chests.
I was surprised. Why did he not do that at the time? I guess he was very excited to find the flute.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was hoping to pick up a tempered sword from a chest he was forced to open.
Either way, he'll be happy to have that orange sword. And that was that 13, I think?
So there's 8 left. 22 minus 8, that would be 14, I believe. Can that be? Yeah, because it has to be even, because the torch and the 5-bar rooms are isolated.
There's 9 chests left, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's town room. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was 13.
There's our
up to 17. And that means Big Key is behind Ice Armor, so I was wrong. We could see Silver's not being picked up on Super Nintendo's side if he decides to go full bright.
Yeah, but with the tempered sword, it's not such a big deal anymore.
Silver's does make a time difference that he cannot afford to take. Like, from here, if he gets the big key through a full bright, he'll be down a sword, down Silver's, and will be entering the Ganon fight roughly at the same time as Goomba. And there it will make huge difference.
Yeah. But not as big a difference as it would make if he was still on Master Sword. Alright. Powder in Bob's chest. It's a nice little safety, although with red mail and a whole pile of hearts, I don't think our runners are too excited about that. And there it is, vanilla big key number. Is that 19? I want to say.
That is probably 19. There's 3 chests left. Yeah, that's 19. Did anyone guess? Looks like nobody did, but the first guess that was the closest was Orthodox with 20. Congratulations, you've been absolutely nothing.
Hey, Goomba heading up the GT ascent.
In the meantime, it does look like Dataplat and Supernin Taylor went to the left side, so they should both have the silver arrows from Stalfo's room, which means that, yeah, equal gear. They'll be getting Butter Sword from Rando Room? Yeah, it was Rando Room. Yep. 100% equal gear going into Ganon.
In the meantime, Boss Godfrey finishing Ice Palace. He's got his King of Samaria. He's in go mode now. Just has to do Mire, and then he'll be off to GT.
Overall, though, on Restream, it looks like Super Nintendo and Dataplat, assuming that nobody makes any major blunders, will be finishing fairly close. Goomba ahead by a significant chunk, by almost an entire gauntlet. And unfortunately, Boss Godfrey down an entire Misery Mire.
Yeah, that's how it works. You skip one location and it costs you 10-15 minutes. So, yeah, it's a difficult decision whether you skip places or not. If your skips work out, you save some time. If your skips don't work out, you lose time.
Yep, it's like kind of interesting how, again, it just shows the linearity of the seed, since there was no huge decision-making divergence. 3 of the runners are basically in Ganon's Tower, like, at the same time. That is amazing, 92 minutes into the seed.
Both Super Nintendo and Dataplat having some issues with this bomb jump.
It's difficult because you have one tile that you cannot see, and then on the other side, you have 2 tiles to catch you, and you may first not get on the edge and undershoot it, or get on the edge but get at an awkward angle and overshoot it, so it's definitely not the easiest thing.
Super Nintendo finally gets it after, I think that was the 3rd or 4th try, but he has lost his lead over Dataplat now. Still pretty close, though. Meanwhile, Goomba finishing off Moldum 2, just a couple rooms away from Agatu.
And of course, the chest that held Moldum 2's last possessions was just 10 arrows, in case he ran out before Ganon. We are entering the Agatu fight now. Was some awful pattern right there.
Oh, we never found that Quake medallion.
Tile room.
Must be
Definitely,
tile
100%. I wasn't paying attention to exactly which upstairs chests Goomba opened. I know he opened the very last chest, but that's about.
Alright, it is on to Ganon for Goomba. He's got silvers, he's got butter sword, he's got red mail, he's got lots of health. This should be a very quick and easy fight for Goomba.
The only way this could possibly be more convenient is if he had the cape, which, by the way, we never found.
Yeah. Honestly, with butter sword, I think the cape is not even worth the time it takes to menu.
That is true. Yeah, with this many hearts, with red mail, all of this, yeah, definitely agree. I could see cape being used for that exact lower right position where Goomba got the second phase if he had less defenses, though. Cape was Desert Ledge, chat is saying. Interesting, I missed that, thank you.
Looks like none of the runners bothered to pick that up.
We did get the arrows in his tower. Misses the torch glitch with Fire Rod, but it's no big deal. He already got a double and another double to finish Ganon off. Get your GGs in chat while he tries to cross the bridge without falling.
Yep.
With that, Goomba finishes in 5th place at a time of 1 hour 36 minutes and 30 seconds.
And he actually is tied. We have a tie for 5th place. Magnificent also finished with 1 hour 36 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's pretty exciting.
Down to the exact second. Before him, Illis finished in 1st place at 1 hour 30, 45 seconds, Actaboca 1 hour 30 and 52 seconds, and SAGTG 1 hour 30, 59 seconds. And I believe we have an interview. Hello, Goomba.
Hello.
Hey, GG.
GG.
So, tell us your thoughts about that, Seed.
Can I have boots next time?
You know exactly where they were and how to get to it.
I mean, yeah, that hot wombo combo of Quake is in GT and boots in Turtle Rock. Thanks, Ice Palace.
So you did dodge 2 massive bullets. Before going to Sahashala, the Seed was definitely telling you, hey, you need to do Aghanim for Ice Rod and for Darkhold Access. And of course there was the Turtle Rock boots thing for the 1 in 22 GT Big on Torch.
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of hoping for the GT Big to be on the Torch. That would have been really funny. Like, when I was walking into GT, I was kind of praying for it.
And Dataplet did get the Quake medallion, so that must have been in one of the upstairs chests, because I don't think he did tell them.
Super Nintendo is also opening the chests. Yeah, it's in the ferry room.
It could have also been behind Ice Armors, because I just opened the one chest and mirrored when I got the big key.
No, but I think we saw the book there, if I'm not mistaken.
Everything that's not on your tracker was basically in there, except, you know, boots and Ice Rod and the usual stuff. So, okay, so you did get a hint for Bow in Thief's Den, which we at one point deemed to be huge, and then we realized that, hey, honestly, the Seed is basically forcing you to do Purple Chest anyway. So, how do you feel about the general linearity of what you had to do?
I am pretty grateful for that hint, because generally, if I go to Village of Outcasts without the mids, and then find the mids later, I'm not coming back for Smith Chain. Unless I have literally no choice. So honestly, I probably would have gone into Swamp Palace without the hookshot over that.
Oh, you
Granted,
did.
the hookshot was in pod, and it wasn't bow locked. But I definitely would have doubled in pod.
You did have the ability to. That is true. You could have made a number of interesting plays at that point, because obviously you get the myths from Death Mountain. You could have gone into Ice Palace as well, which logically, without the hookshot in Somaria, may not be that great of an idea, but it could have gotten you Somaria at that point.
I just want to interrupt for a second because we have almost perfectly synced Ganon fights between Dataplet and Super Nintailor. Dataplet entered the fight about 2 seconds ahead of Super Nintailor. So let's just watch this and see who's able to finish first.
It could be a second tie in this race. Amazing. In the meantime, if you have any thoughts about the seed, feel free to say so, Goomba.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the run went pretty well, but I can definitely see where it was shaved all that time, because I did do some slow stuff that I really didn't need to do and probably shouldn't have done.
Ooh,
Like-
Super Nintailor got down to half a heart. I don't know if he has any potions or fairies. Which could be bad.
I don't know if he drank the initial red potion that he got out of Kakariko. Oh, he has a blue.
Okay, he's
fine.
got blue. And a B, apparently.
Is he going to lose a tie to lag frames from a Sparkling B?
Well, we'll find out. Oh, there's Ganon down for Dataplet.
Super Nintailor getting a very nice Fire Rod torch glitch, and Ganon down for him as well. Not as close as we think, though. That fanfare is honestly the worst thing when you're seeing someone snipe you during that.
Yeah. It's like there's nothing you can do. But we do have Dataplet finishing in 9th place with an official time of 1 hour 41 minutes and 48 seconds. Super Nintailor just 9 seconds later at 1 hour 41 and 57 seconds. So get your GGs in chat for the two of them.
Super Nintailor saying, "I hate Rando, and I definitely want to know why."
I just want to real quick read off all the other finishers. So I think we already had Illis winning, Actaboker in second, SAGTG in third. They were all very, very close. And then in 4th place was Pink Kitty Rose with 1 hour 34 minutes 59 seconds. 5th place was, of course, a tie between Goomba and Magnificent. In 7th place we had Humbug with 1 hour 36 minutes and 37 seconds. And in 8th place was Stogie Town with 1 hour 38 minutes and 39 seconds.
We'll see if we can get Super Nintailor and Dataplet in here as well. In the meantime, you were interrupted, Goomba. Sorry about that.
No problem. As I was saying, I feel like that run went pretty good. But I can definitely see where time was shaved, because I did play pretty safe at the end game there. Like, I could have definitely gotten away with skipping left side swamp. I could have just gone to Hookshot Gate before doing Pyramid Fairy, and that alone is like 4 minutes.
It's interesting because at the times you did the plays that weren't necessary, say clear Tower of Hera, get the left side of swamp, they were definitely very much up there in value. I think it's less like shaving time and more safe play, and it could have definitely paid off. It didn't in this seed, and honestly you didn't finish that far behind the leading player, who probably played a little bit greedier. Overall,
maybe.
it's absolutely good.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with this result. I think I played a little bit too safe towards the end, but what can you do? It worked out decently well.
And especially if you consider the left side of Swamp Palace. So the first thing that you can do, right, is you go immediately for the left side, because that saves the most time if you want to clear the left side. And the second thing is you immediately want to go back in because then you don't have to do the dam again. So, like, I don't see anything that would be wrong with that play ever. Especially 1/3 of the dungeon items, or the dungeon's like actual items, still left in there at that.
Yeah. But at the same time, I felt like the game was really just telling me to go to Ice Palace with the items I had. So, I don't know.
How did you feel when most of Ice Palace didn't heal you anything?
I just kind of assumed that Cold Stare or Pyramid Fairy would be something, and I wasn't wrong.
Well, you weren't.
With the items I had, the game was really leading me towards Ice Palace. So I assumed that between those 3 items and the 2 on Pyramid Fairy, I would probably get the flute. I was not expecting the king, though.
It's an interesting logical thing, though, if you think about it, because if Cold Stare has a small key, it immediately rules out Pyramid Fairy as well as Cold Stare itself.
Well, it rules out Pyramid Fairy for the king at any rate. It could have been the flute.
It could have been the flute. Oh yeah, Boss Godfrey got that flute much earlier than the rest of you did because he skipped escape for a while, which means he didn't have the flippers. He can make this one play, so he got the hookshot from Pass Darkness and immediately took it to Hookshot Cave. Unfortunately, he couldn't cash in on that advantage of not having to full clear Swamp because he went to Swamp as soon as he got the flippers. He also did, like, Hera Basement and Spike Cave, so... that's kind of how the race sells if you don't have that one item.
Yeah. I noticed you did DM strat. Goomba, is that a strat you normally do, or was that just because you wanted to check the torch first?
I tend to do it more often than not, but in this particular case, it was mostly because I wanted to see the torch.
I've been seeing an awful lot of seeds lately with at least one sword upgrade and silvers in GT. Seems to be happening quite a bit.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself.
I don't know if Super Nintendo or Dataplat are joining us.
Dataplat says he will pass on the interview, but he is there. Oh, he says he has no mic, but he is there in Twitch chat if you have any questions for him. I have not heard from Super and Taylor, other than his comment that says, "I hate Rando."
He's probably taking a breather after that.
Yeah.
There's Super and Taylor in chat.
Oh, GG, if you do want to come in for an interview, you're certainly welcome.
In the meantime, Boss Godfrey is reaching the uppermost reaches of Ganon South, soon to be fighting Ganon himself. Hello, Super and Taylor.
I guess I'll join you guys.
GG.
Why not? Yeah, thanks.
So, tell us why you hate Rando.
I don't know, I don't know. I mean, get to count items in dungeons and stuff, and then...
That
pretty
actually
sure I
gave
found
you everything.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I found the 2 items in Skull right away, but I still ended up like looking for the last item, forgetting I already found both items.
Oh yeah. This
you
was
also
sorry, go
dipped
ahead.
early on, which didn't really pay off.
What did I do early on?
Dip Eastern Palace.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I hate Rando. It's like almost every race I do, I always make the wrong plays. I very rarely make the right plays in Rando. I'm cursed.
But it's, you know, okay, well, subjectively, yeah, in the context of the seed, it does end up being the wrong play.
Yeah.
But if you look at it the way that it's 3 items that you're only going to go back to much later. Potentially 3 items, of course, not definitely. It's absolutely not that bad, and your opponents, they made decisions as well that they weren't happy with, and you guys finished fairly close to each other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I look at it kind of like Penton Eastern Palace doing that is kind of like doing the front of Escape, and you know, it's wasted a few minutes if there's nothing there. But we had the flippers in Escape; they could have just as easily been in Eastern Palace. So I don't know.
I was very close to not even going that direction and thinking of just going straight to Aghanim. Because I don't know. I had this weird feeling it might be an Agus seed.
Yeah, no, we had that feeling too. Were you one of the ones that checked Lumberjack early?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. So we were actually almost sure it was going to be an Agaseed until we got to Sahasral's hut, and then we found out that Turtle Rock was the green pendant, and we got the gloves.
Yeah.
So that kind of brought the Aga chances from high down to almost nothing.
How about those chain of hints in Ice Palace?
Yeah.
Quake is in Gan's tower. Oh, good. I don't have to do Turtle Rock. Boots are on Turtle Rock. Oh, great.
Yeah, at that point I was kind of hoping for the GT Biggie to be on the torch just because.
Yeah.
At that point, why not, right?
Yeah, that would have been something else.
Yeah, but yeah, bootless seed I'm usually bound to not do so well. I'm so accustomed to using boots that I almost forget how to play without boots now.
My fingers hurt from all that pumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're not the first one to say that. I've seen this complaint in Discord as well. Like, yeah, we hate boostless seeds because you get thumb pain, and I'm like,
Yeah.
But if you get a hint that the boots are probably not within the route of anyone else either, it's not that big of a deal, though, right? Because the worst thing about not having boots is that your opponent might have it.
Yeah.
Boots just make things funner, though.
Yeah. Some people are more used to it too. Like, I don't play rando ever. This is just a random appearance. I used to play all the time.
Yeah.
I just play a lot more MMG now, so I'm so used to having boots that I'm just not used to playing without boots anymore, so it's actually pretty difficult for me.
But in the meantime, we do have Boss Godfrey finishing off Ganon. And he comes in 19th place with a time of 1 hour 52 minutes and 22 seconds. So get your GGs in chat for Boss Godfrey, and we will see if he wants to come in for an interview.
So, in the meantime, tell us how you feel about how linear this seed was.
Was it linear? I don't know.
It was absolutely linear. You were basically forced into making the crystal dungeon plays, and then got hints for everything that might be out of your way.
Yeah, I guess I'm glad I checked the Thieves Town hint.
Yeah, I think the only differences we really saw between the runners were like some went to Skull Woods first and some went to Thieves Town first, and then we did it in the opposite order. Everything else, you pretty much, all of you did almost all the same things in the same order.
Well, I like doing Skull Woods first, because then you can just do a circle. You don't have to go down to Thieves Town and then back up to Skull Woods and then back down to the Hype Cave area. Oh, I guess if someone already did the Hype Cave area, then that would make sense.
Yeah, some of you started with Hype Cave, some of you started with Skull Woods and work your way down.
I did Hype Cave first.
I almost always do Hype Cave first, but if I have both Fire Rod and Hammer, then I'll just get Skull Woods and Thieves Town out of the way. Because the main reason I usually do the bottom area first is to get the Hammer or Fire Rod so I can do those things. But if I already have them, I'll just start from the top and work my way down.
And you guys were pretty much 100% head-to-head up until Boss Godfrey didn't end up having the flippers. You guys were doing essentially the same dungeons with basically like Skull Woods and Thieves Town being swapped.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of routing you're using. Speaking of Buzz Godfrey, welcome. How do you feel about this seed?
Me too.
I see you light up, but we cannot hear anything, unfortunately.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was saying that I think that I feel like I should have remembered that I was playing an open seed, and I should have gone into the dungeon far, far earlier than I did.
So you kind of forgot about escape for a bit?
Yeah, I put it off after doing the uncle check because I normally save it for later, and then I went forever without remembering that I'd skipped those 3. I killed Moldorm and said, "Oh man, I got 3 checks waiting for me there."
Ooh,
Yeah, we did notice that you seemed to be forgetting escape when you went back for Hera Basement and Spike Cave.
Yeah, it did result in you getting the flute earlier than others, so if you had actually gone to Ice Palace first instead of Swamp, you might have still been in a pretty good spot. But, I mean, I certainly don't blame you for the Swamp play. It makes more sense.
Well, if I get to choose between Go Mode Ice Palace and Go Mode Swamp, I was trying to do Go Mode Ice Palace and cut all that time out, and that was a gamble I made, and it didn't pay out.
Yeah, like I said, I think going to Swamp was the best play, but we just were cheering for you to go to Ice.
Yeah, speaking of escape, anyone see that accidental mirror?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
That sucked.
That was
You were expecting anything but the Sporky.
No, I'm so used to playing NMG. Normally you have the boomerang there, so I tried to boomerang an enemy, but I had the mirror out.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
horrible. Did anybody else begin to believe it was going to be a green pendant going into Turtle Rock seed?
Going into Turtle Rock for the green pendant? Or-
Yeah, to finish out Pedestal, because I was well on my way to doing that.
We were hoping, but that hope was dashed once we saw that hint in Ice Palace.
I mean, it crossed my mind, but I never really banked on it. Like, once I got that first item on the bottom, or the floor 1 of Terra, I just left.
And Pedestal Hope was actually completely destroyed, I believe, the moment we saw Flute in Hookshot Cave, because at that point,
Yeah,
there was cave remaining, maybe?
the
that's
only other thing we hadn't seen was Kane, which obviously can't be behind.
Did I get that super late compared to other people, the flute? Or
No,
no?
you
okay.
got it at the
Flute
same
was
time
my
as
Goomba.
like Goomba.
Alright.
Yeah, basically the only divergence was with Boss Godfrey because he got the flippers so late. The rest of you all took almost the same route through the whole seed.
I wish I had gone to Death Mountain before going to Village of Outcasts, because having to backtrack for that bow felt pretty bad.
But at that point, well, I suppose you had all the tools to get to Paradox Cave. It would have actually made some degree of sense. I could have seen that play.
Yeah, it was
I
kind of nice
thinking
seeing it.
about it. Because I didn't want to go to Village of Outcasts without the mitts, but at the same time I kind of also didn't want to go to Death Mountain without the mitts. But then Turtle Rock was a pendant anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
with Fire Rod and Hammer, it makes sense to go right
Yeah.
to Village of Outcasts and just because
Ultimately,
there's so
I
much there.
chose to do that because of the Fire Rod.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Godfrey.
Well, I was just gonna comment on going to Village of Outcasts first. Was the only play to me because I didn't want to gamble by going up the mountain multiple times, even though I ended up going up the mountain multiple times.
You
It's
kind of
interesting.
had to.
It's interesting because you get the save point, so like that dip through the tunnel isn't that big of a deal. And then you do get 8 items out of checking the east side, and those are like, okay, yeah, of course, you have to climb Death Mountain once for it, but usually you can plan for 2, so it's not that big of a deal if you get it out of the way as early as possible, especially if it gives you an edge and you feel like it's an okay play, but it's like not the best one. You might get an edge over someone who's just making consistently the most optimal plays. So I can see it.
I'm definitely much more inclined to go to Death Mountain if I have the hook shot, but getting over to the east side without the hook shot is just so slow.
Well, about that is that you do get on the way Spectacle Rock and Tower of Hero, which could still hold items. You essentially have to go up that way with 1.
But the highest item density is over on the east side, and I generally prefer checking that first, especially if Hera's a pendant.
I'll say this: I thought about doing Palace of Darkness before Dark Village, and that was absolutely would have been a terrible waste of time, especially with all the bow hints floating around in the seed. There were 2 of them.
Well, I mean, if you do that, sure, you double dip Palace of Darkness, but you get your hook shot, so then you get your flute on Death Mountain. And you might have the flute on your first trip to Village of Outcasts. So I don't think it, like, as long as after Pod you go to Death Mountain before Village of Outcasts, I don't think it's that bad.
It's always a lot of ifs. It's like everything can be made slightly better by just having everything, but like realistically speaking, most of the time that won't happen.
I mean, yeah, in hindsight, it's like the entire route is just a bunch of what ifs.
Yeah. All right. Did any of you guys have any final thoughts on the seed? Because we gotta wrap up fairly soon here.
No, GG everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
GG.
not really.
Thanks to all the commentators and trackers.
Yeah, GG to all of you. Our trackers today were Math Girl and Wurzag, so shoutouts to them. We have later on Speed Gaming 5 at 9 p.m. Eastern, there'll be a standard daily race. I believe coming up next on Speed Gaming 3 is a Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer. There's also, if you speak French, on Speed Gaming Francais, there's a link to the past randomizer coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, for us, that I guess will do it. So thanks to everyone for joining, and thanks to my co-commentator Baliami, and I've been Etienne. So
Thank you for watching. Thank you, Etienne, for commentating with me. Thank you, trackers, racers. Be sure to give everyone a follow, and we'll see you next time.
yep, see you guys.